Angry MGTOW here. And today we're discussing the reasons why former feminist women are still feminist. This is a response to Dizzatron. We're going to be watching Dizzatron's video and we'll see what her reasoning is why she is not a feminist anymore. So let's go ahead and just jump right into the video and see what Dizzatron has to say today. Okay, so for some reason I'm not hearing any volume on my end. Looks like the volume was turned all the way down. Sorry about that, guys. Let me just go ahead and pump up the volume. Okay. So I just went ahead and adjusted the volume for you guys. I know you probably were not hearing it before. And let's go ahead and try that all over again.
Hey guys, it's me, Dizzy again. This time, I wanted to explain using some quotes the reasons why I don't call myself a feminist anymore, even though I am one. We'll start with first wave feminism. Enjoy! Some quotes. Some early quotes. They seem to all kind of encompass the idea of rights. Definitely 150 years ago, because this all started in the 1850s. So it's quite a long time ago. Some quotes from Susan B. Anthony were, "No man is good enough to govern any woman without her consent." That's important, and I agree with that. "I do not demand equal pay for any women save those who do equal work in value. Scorn to be coddled by your employers. Make them understand that you are in their service as workers, not as women."
So something very interesting that she said, and I don't know if you guys were getting an echo. I forgot to pause the mic maybe. But something important that she said that she said at the start of the video that she's not a feminist anymore, even though she is. I don't know if you guys caught that. She said she's not a feminist anymore, even though she is. And I've said this before, that women love feminism. They love it. They love feminism. They hate the label. And the legacy, the label feminism will die, but the legacy of feminism will live on.
She's saying that she wants to be seen as equal to men, so that her work has equal value, equal merit, without being coddled, without her employer saying, there's a good woman, here's your money, despite the fact that she did not earn it. She said, "I do not demand equal pay for any women, save those, except for those who do equal work in value."
Here's the funny thing. We have gender quotas today. We have all these laws, rules, all of this stuff that basically says women have to be hired. They have to get this. They have to get these benefits. There are so many benefits that women get. They're built in just into them being a woman. And they don't acknowledge any of these things. This is something that Roaming Millennial touched upon too. Just the social benefits of being a woman, that the privileges that women get that have to go. And you know, it's funny because she sits here talking about these things and she acts like they're not actually happening. And then another point is that no man should govern a woman unless he has her consent to do so. You've got to be absolutely kidding me. What the hell does that mean? No man should lead a woman unless she gives him the authority to do so. In life, men have to follow authority of other men. It doesn't work like that. You don't simply govern yourself. You can't go outside and argue with a police officer just because you feel like it. You have to learn how to respect authority. That's the country that we live in. That's what society is built upon. And there's also basic human decency. For example, men show women basic human decency, but women don't show men the same basic human decency.
Agree with that. Those things I completely agree with. So in that respect, I am a feminist, right? So I'm a first wave feminist. Then we have Elizabeth Cady Stanton. Another point. So she says, nothing strengthens the judgment and quickens the conscience like individual responsibility. So these women are reacting to, it seems, the women in their society. Like, sure, they want to change the laws, yes, but they believe that there's a background, a context, where they've seen women not fighting for legal rights because they didn't care. These women are clearly saying, we are equal, we see ourselves as the same as men, or equal to men, and that our work has equal value. And they see society as being men here holding themselves to this standard and women holding themselves to this standard. And they are requiring that women bring themselves here, that they value themselves as equal to men. She says, self-development is a higher duty than self-sacrifice. That's telling, right? Because women obviously viewed themselves as important because of the amount that they sacrificed themselves for the people around them.
Women view themselves as important because of the amounts that they sacrifice themselves for the people around them. You know, I find that I find it ridiculous. I find it narcissistic, egotistical. It bothers me in so many different ways when I hear this, because I realize that you have women who simply they want people to give them special treatment. They find themselves valuable for doing the things that simply come as a part of life. Being a mother, oh, we are so important. We should be paid for our labor as mothers. We should be paid for our emotional labor. We should be paid for everything. We should be paid just for giving men attention. And I think to myself, so you're saying that your time, the things that you do are more valuable than us. For example, men going out and working, giving emotional security, all the things that men do. Men don't ask to be paid for those things. All the things that men do, men don't put that on a pedestal. Women basically put every single thing they do on a pedestal. Everything. Having a conversation, listening. Oh, that makes me such a good person. No, it doesn't. We're just having a fucking conversation. Women are so narcissistic that you have to question, why would you want to be in a relationship with so many of them? Because they have no sight into the fact that it's like they want something for every single thing. I said it once that about a year ago, I made a video where I said that in the future, they're going to have a moment where women take shit and everyone claps. Because that's how bad it's literally going to get. And they're going to start crying. I mean, this actually happened recently. They call it gross out feminism. I think it was the woman from Gilmore Girls. I forget her name, but she was maybe Jessie McCartney. Let me double check and see if that's her name. It was the woman who was in the most recent Ghostbusters movie, and I don't remember her name. Ghostbusters 2016. I'll tell you what her name was right now. I'm just looking it up. But basically, there's a scene where in another movie that she's in where she jumps to a sink and she takes a shit in a sink. And her name is Melissa McCarthy. And there's a scene in another movie where she takes a shit in a sink, and feminists were cheering how wonderful this was, and gross out feminism. Basically, now everything is on the table, and I'm thinking to myself, gross out feminism comes from the insecurity of toxic women who do disgusting things and can't adhere to any type of social standards, but still want to be called beautiful. I mean, it's downright sickening.
They viewed themselves as important because of sacrifice, how much they gave up. And she's saying self-development is a higher duty. That you're supposed to be a full human being. You're supposed to grow and develop. You're responsible. That word. You're responsible for who you are, where you are in the world. That you get what you deserve, and you should get what you deserve. You shouldn't be coddled and pampered. Human beings lose their logic and their vindictiveness. She is clearly holding logic to be a standard to which women should be holding themselves to, that they should be thinking clearly and rationally. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal. And she said we're holding it. Us women, we are saying that we are equal to men. We have decided of ourselves. Second wave was kind of brought into being in the early 1900s by the likes of Simone de Beauvoir, talking about women being otherized. And
women are equal to men when it comes to privileges and rights, but they're unequal when it comes to responsibilities. You know, I remember reading an article recently, not too long ago, where a woman basically was arguing that women should not have to sign up for the draft because it goes against their right and their freedom to do so, while men have a responsibility to defend the country, but we're all created equal. We are all equal, right? This is the same women who will say that we are equal. Women are entitled to the rights. They should have the freedom to decide if they want to fight for the country. It infringes on their rights to be forced to sign up for a draft. When in other words, a man has a moral obligation by simply being a man to fight, protect, and die for the country. We talk about the notion of male disposability. Here in this video, this woman is saying that women are saying that they are equal. You can say that you're equal as much as you want, but that doesn't make you the same. A fish can say that it's the exact same as a turtle, but it's still a fish. You see what I'm saying? And it's a silly example, but it's a good one nonetheless. You know, a woman can say that she's a man, but at the end of the day, she's still a woman. And if you try to remove just the notion of gender, the moment something goes wrong in society, you're suddenly reminded the difference in privilege and who you are. It becomes very frustrating listening to these women and realizing that in many cases there's really no way of getting through to them. Because they believe they are truly equal. They are equal when it comes to privileges and rights, but not responsibilities. But they will claim that they want equal responsibilities, but it never happens like that. They also don't want this equal treatment in the court systems. They claim they do, they don't. And you don't actually see them fighting for that. Women say they want equality. They say they want equality. Even the same women who say that they want everything to be equal across the board. You don't see them making videos saying that, oh well, but we need to get rid of these rights because more men are spending getting longer prison sentences than women. You don't see them making videos saying that more women kill their husbands, more women kill their spouses and significant others than men kill women in relationships. You don't see them pointing out that 70% of all child deaths are actually initiated by a woman and not by a man. Shocker, right? 70% of all children will die at the hands of a woman and not a man. Men get a bad rap for everything in society, but when you actually look at statistics, women are more violent in relationships. They are more likely to kill in relationships. They are more likely to harm children. They are more likely to tell lies. They are more likely to do heinous things. And then they are put on this proverbial pedestal because they have the golden vagina. And I sit here and none of us want to hate women. MGTOW don't want to hate women. Most of us at least don't. But the truth is that women are so toxic in the things that they do in this century. It's ridiculous. They have no accountability either. But women have never had agency. That was something a man always possessed. And now we allow women to run free in society, and we watch as things are deteriorating around us. It's just bloody frustrating.
This and sexuality and so on. So, okay, so one person here, Caroline Bird, in 1968, says, there is recognition abroad that we are in many ways a sexist country. Sexism is judging people by their sex when sex doesn't matter. So that's exactly what I believe. I believe that sex doesn't matter. Betty Friedan, I think, might be a second way.
So here she talks about judging people by their sex when sex doesn't matter. But that's absolute nonsense, because men and women are always going to be judged by their sex. Women are always going to be protected automatically by men based on their sex. I mean, it's a biological thing. We know that as a fact. Women are going to be given more consideration and more discrepancy when it comes to even the most heinous crimes compared to the most basic crimes for men, because they are women and sexual value is always looked upon. It's downright psychotic and ridiculous. Don't forget that when a crime is committed or when a woman attacks a man, they're going to basically use the angle that I'm a small girl. I'm only a 100-pound girl. I'm only a 90-pound girl. You're a big, angry man. You can beat the shit out of me. I mean, that's the argument that women use when they come in, when it comes down to violence. And it's usually the man who gets hauled off. I mean, there's literally guidelines that say that in the case where a man and a woman are in a domestic incidents, they're supposed to basically look at the man more deplorably than the woman. I mean, it's literally pushed. The law literally is directed against men in every angle in society, and it's downright sickening. I mean, I see very little hope for, at least for Western women. No. There's not going to be any marriages. There's not going to be any babies. This generation of millennial women have literally priced themselves out of the market. They're not going to find husbands. They're going to find difficulty in their futures. And their narcissism is literally going to be their downfall.
Yeah, 1921, and died 2006. She says here, a woman is handicapped by her sex and handicaps society, either by slavishly copying the pattern of men's advance in the professions or by refusing to compete with man at all. She's saying, you're the problem. Women, you are the problem. Feminism is about women standing up and self-empowering, growing to your own limits, that you're actually able to reach yourself by not comparing yourself. All of these things, they come from the self. Another thing that she said, men are not the enemy, but the fellow victims. The real enemy is women's denigration of themselves. Yes. You are what you choose to be. In Western society, at least, where we have any equality laws in 2016, apart from the 8th Amendment in Ireland, where women do not have full reproductive laws, we generally have full power over ourselves. We have the right to be whatever we wish to be. We have education, we have the right to vote, we have the right to go into politics ourselves as women, we have the right to become educators, we have the right to anything you want.
So where the hell is this video going? Because she's spending a great deal of time letting us know the reasons why she supports feminism. So why is it that she doesn't like the word feminism anymore? Oh wait, could it be because it's making it difficult for her to find a man and have a baby now? Oh, I'm thinking it could be that reason.
We have the same rights as men. I agree with all of these. Another thing she says, it is easier to live through someone else than to become complete yourself. It is easier. And maybe that's the problem, to not complete yourself, to work on becoming responsible, bettering yourself, empowering yourself. Germaine Greer, another second wave feminist, those miserable women who blame the men who let them down for their misery and isolation enact every day the initial mistake of sacrificing their personal responsibility for themselves. Of course you're going to feel disempowered if you don't empower yourself. You're seeking validation elsewhere. You're constantly demanding validation from everybody else. In that instance, you're actually placing men's validation higher than your own, because you're saying, you need to treat me like I'm this. You need to tell me. You need to show me all the time that I'm equal to you. Surely you should know that you're equal to these people. That's not a social thing. That's you allowing them not to treat you as an equal. They're either assholes or you're treating them in such a way as to tell them, I'm not your equal. Behave in the way that you wish other people to behave towards you. And if they do not return that, you don't need their validation. You have validated yourself, and these people that don't validate you, that you feel are treating you unfairly, they shouldn't be in your life. They're assholes. It's not a sex issue. It's an asshole issue. And the third wave feminism is kind of, I can't really discuss this too much because some people agree that it is still going on, and some people believe that it is now the fourth wave of feminism, because the fourth wave is now the online feminism, and that's the feminism that I am now reacting to. I don't know very much about the third wave feminism, just a generation on. It seems to be reasonable, but I don't know enough to talk about it.
Did you just hear what she said? She said she doesn't know much about third wave feminism, but it seems to be reasonable. Fourth wave feminism is the one that she's worried about, which is what they refer to as online feminism. So she thinks third wave feminism is okay then, but online feminism, where you basically see women posting the hashtag kill all men, that's the bad feminism. But the feminism that brought women to yes means yes, that was good feminism. The feminism that essentially put gender quotas in universities so that basketball teams have to have the same amount of female players in a university as male players, or else they can't have them. The same universities that say that, the same laws that basically push that in a case where you have two students and both of them, there's no real evidence saying who, one says that she was raped and there's no real evidence proving it. Basically, they should tilt things in her favor. This woman's an absolute joke. She hates the fact that modern feminism has exposed itself for just being as narcissistic and nasty as it's always been, but it was never this evident to society. Feminists no longer have anywhere to hide. They can no longer pretend to be dainty, pretty, clean, sweet, or just are normal. They are downright intolerable. They are insufferable. They are people that you would not want to be around nor invite into your homes. The social justice warriors are toxic, discriminatory, and hateful. She hates the fact that feminism can no longer hide in the darkness. It's out in the light and people see it for what it is, which is a deplorable and evil movement.
But I do know a fair amount from having seen fourth wave feminism on Tumblr and so on. I know enough to know what I'm reacting against right now and why I don't consider it to be feminism anymore. I think I'm still first wave and second wave feminist. I've agreed with all of those quotes, but what's being called feminism now, I don't agree with. So here's the poster child of fourth wave feminism, Anita Sarkeesian. She's a liar, first of all, and I don't like my poster children for any movement that I'm in to be liars. She has admitted ignorance and a misunderstanding of gender issues. Here's why she's a liar. She said, there's no such thing as sexism against men. That's because sexism is prejudice plus power. Men are the dominant gender with power in society. There's no evidence to suggest that. She doesn't give any evidence. Also, that's not the definition of sexism at all. Sexism is judging somebody based on gender, based on sex, where no judgment need apply. It's judging somebody entirely based on sex. Therefore, you can be sexist against men. Of course you can be sexist against men. I decide to openly state that as an employer, I refuse to hire men in a society even where it's equal. That's still sexism. That is a lie. She says as well, so that part of her expertise is video games. There's a toxicity within gaming culture and also in tech culture that drives this misogynist hatred, this reactionary backlash against women who have anything to say, especially those who have critiques or are feminists. A backlash, you say. A backlash like somebody coming in and critiquing an industry that they admittedly know nothing about. A backlash against that, perhaps. A backlash against somebody who is actively engaged in changing the industry, while also...
You know what I find interesting is the fact that a lot of women don't actually consider anything outside of their own perspectives. They want to define what is acceptable from what is unacceptable. They want to define which is acceptable feminism versus unacceptable aspects of feminism. It's like you take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and there you have the facts of life. The facts of life. I mean, these women essentially want to make it up as they go along. And they have no rationality in the sense that you can't have it all. And feminism has always been striving to have it all and then some. And that's how we got to the point we've gotten to today, where women got everything they wanted, then some, but enough was never good enough for them.
Self-admittedly, knowing nothing about it, she says, I love playing video games, but I'm regularly disappointed in the limited and limiting ways women are represented. However, she has also quoted, I am not a fan of video games. I had to learn a lot about them. I would love to play video games, but I don't want to go around shooting people and ripping off their heads, and it's just gross. How could you possibly say, I love playing video games, but I'm regularly disappointed in the limited and limiting ways women are represented, and also say, I am not a fan of video games. I had to learn a lot about them. She's, if not a liar, she is at least inconsistent. She has also claimed that gaming has pushed women out of the industry. Now, I wanted to see if that was true. I still enjoy playing games from time to time, but I always found myself pushed away by the sexism that permeated gaming culture. There were constant reminders that I didn't really belong. Oh, here's another one where she's a liar. So I'll take a cue from my younger self and say I don't care about being a gamer, but I sure do love video games. Just Google gender of video gamers. You'll see there is a slight favouring of men playing video games than women. It's getting better than it was in 2006 though, because in 2006 it was 38% of women played video games, and in 2016 there are 41% of women playing video games to men's 59%. I don't necessarily think it's because women are being pushed out of gaming either. There are plenty of female gamers. Just Google female gamer on YouTube and you will find that they have no issue with male gamers. Girls, by the way, who self-admittedly do enjoy playing video games, that they have constantly been playing video games. And
I'll tell you something interesting, because I was into gaming for a while, and it's funny how there are girl gamers who want to encourage more girl gamers to get involved in gaming. They even want to create specific events for women that promote women in gaming, but then they also want to play in the male space. So they want special spaces for women because they claim that it'll promote more women to enter the medium of gaming. But then at the same time, they also want they also want to compete in the same spaces as men. It's funny too, because gaming is something that evolved from a passion. That's how most things became very popular. For example, competitive gaming evolved from a passion for gaming by men. It was men who played games so often that they began enjoying watching other people play games. And then after that, they began building spaces around that. And then suddenly women said, oh, this is not fair. Women are not getting equally represented in this space that was entirely built by men. Entirely built by men. You know, it's funny when you look at all these different sports, all these different things out there. Basketball undoubtedly evolved from a group of guys throwing a ball around and other people enjoying the skill that went into playing the game. And eventually someone said, okay, let's form a league, let's form this, let's form that. I remember the history behind the Olympics and some of the early sporting teams back in the early 20th century. And And it was quite amazing how so much work went into just actually getting off the ground and getting these games going. And it took a lot of work of men to do this, to bring people together. And then as soon as men establish a space, women invade that space. When the iPhone originally came out, the iPhone was not something that women even liked. Women did not even like the iPhone when it came out. Women essentially, people said it was a geek phone. It was something that was not something that was going to catch on mainstream. It was something that only the techies are going to play with. And then after men started buying it in droves, suddenly women came in and said, okay, well, we like the iPhone as well. So, definitely should be tilted towards us. That's what happens with pretty much everything. Men popularize something, they build it, they establish it, they get it off the ground, they do all the work, and then women show up and say, we want a seat at the table and equal representation. You look at tech companies and how tech companies developed. Women had absolutely no interest in tech. If you look at patents, I read this recently that about 20% of all the patents in the United States are owned by women. Only 20%, and most of those patents are for such things as things like jewelry. You heard me, jewelry patents. Women predominantly don't invent anything. Nothing. I forget her name, but there was this woman who led like this big pharmaceutical company a year ago or so, and now she's been kicked. She has been forced out of her company by the courts because she made all these promises that she couldn't keep. Like, oh, we can do all these amazing things with technology, and she couldn't do any of that. And you probably know who I'm talking about. It's ridiculous, and we're seeing patterns of this where women basically come into these things and say that we can do all these things, and they can't. They cannot do them. They cannot walk the talk. They cannot walk the walk. That's the honest to goodness truth. And it's a pattern. It is a downright pattern that women, the dishonesty of so many women is sickening today. All women do is copy men. I mean, they love to copy men and say that they're the ones who thought of it.
Know what they're talking about. So, and then to finish, exactly the kind of feminists that you are now talking about on Tumblr, which is where the fourth wave feminism has self-identified. They've said that they digitally belong, which seems to corroborate my searches, because I tried to find some quotes from major fourth wave feminists, and there are not really many texts in print, which does suggest that it's an online phenomenon. So fourth wave feminism is exclusive. It specifically excludes men and trans women, especially the radfem section. I just went to Ask a Radfem, which is just your typical radfem Tumblr, and it's full of things like, hey there, could you explain why you don't include trans women in the feminist movement? Because they are male. I'm repeating myself far too often for you anons. Was the answer. Another question. So according to trans logic,
in a video response I did to Turd Fleeing the Monkey recently, he made a point that I've been making for quite some time, which is that society is not going to embrace egalitarianism. It's hilarious because women like this, they believe that what's coming next is egalitarianism. After the devastation that feminism has wreaked through the world, after the saying that feminism was all about equality, feminism was essentially egalitarianism. So why not call yourself an egalitarianist? After all the shit feminism has done, these women are going to say, I'm an egalitarian. And most people, as soon as they say I'm an egalitarian, most people are going to just ignore them. They are going to ignore them. I'm an egalitarian. Oh, that's nice. I don't want to have anything to do with you. Because the labels, people are so sick and tired of labels now that they literally have just about had it. The vast majority of people have just about had it. Kellyanne Conway who describes herself as a post-feminist, and talks about how horrible feminism is, how devastating it has been towards men, how frightened she is of the effects that it'll have on her 12-year-old son. you know she's one of the Generation X women who are literally stagnant when it comes to feminism. And you've got to be kidding me. She said that my generation doesn't like labels. The very notion of of another label. Okay, feminism wasn't technically not equality, but egalitarianism will definitely be equality. No one's getting on the hype train for egalitarianism. The hipsters will try to get on it. No one cares. At this point, everyone is exhausted. America is exhausted. The West is exhausted from feminism. Feminism has literally brought the world to to the point of misery, despair, loss, everything. And it's these women who have done it. And at the beginning of the video, she says, "I'm not a feminist anymore, even though I am." That's what she said. She said, "I'm not a feminist anymore, even though I am." In other words, she still supports the legacy of feminism, first wave, second wave, even third wave feminism. She supports third wave feminism. She just doesn't like online feminism, the nasty things that feminists are saying online. Oh my gosh.
Biological female could feel like a guy, have sex with a gold star lesbian without telling her I'm really a guy and my vagina is secretly a penis, and that would take away her gold star because now she slept with a man, according to the trans cult. Yeah, that's derogatory language. Definite derogatory language. There's no way that you could call that inclusive in any way. Regardless of message, it was sarcastic in tone. It's not inclusive. It's not empowering. It's exclusive. There's more of that there if you want to look for that. So I feel like feminism has basically changed. That's why I can't class myself as a feminist anymore. I would love to. I would love to be able to identify with my role models, my heroes. Betty Friedan is a fantastic role model, and Germaine Greer, what a role model. But I can't, because the label is now associated with the movement as it is currently in existence, as it is currently being taught in colleges, in third level education. That new feminism is being included, it's being taught, it's being promulgated, and basically the ideology of it now is listen and believe. It has turned feminism back to where you not only do the...
What did this woman think? Feminism was being crammed down the throats of people in society for the last 40 or 50 years. So now when they come out right and just tell you, listen and believe, what do you expect? It's been outright indoctrination for like the last 50 years. So how shocked are you now when they literally tell you, all right, you're going to do as we say? You've got to be kidding me.
These people not validate themselves and refuse to actually take responsibility for their own reactions to society, their own lack of confidence, their own fears, their own prejudices. But they also want to blame everybody else for it, and they want to not only, have a discussion about it based on, calm analysis of the situation using facts and actual experience from a broad range of things. They want their narrative to be the guiding and only narrative. You have to. That's the general logic, and they will scream that at you and they will force you to listen. That's not how dialogue works. That's not how any kind of advance in society works. Also, these people don't even know, they don't have a definite agenda, like a cohesive agenda that they can all say we're fighting for this. So basically, it's a bunch of random, anarchic people with aggressive agendas, all pushing those agendas. And there's no decision about who's right or who's wrong. So listen and believe. And that is why I am not a feminist. Thank you so much for listening to me. I hope to be coming out with another video soon. Please stay tuned. Mwah.
And there we have it. Why I'm not a feminist. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, she is clearly a feminist. She believes very much in feminism. She supports feminism in many ways, and that was very, very clear. But in reality, she's just saying now that she doesn't like the fact that feminism is as ugly clearly as it is, and she's trying to escape from that, or trying to disassociate herself with that. She was one of the same feminists on campuses that pushed for yes means yes, that pushed for the laws that we have today, that pushed for all of that crap. She helped establish the narrative, and now she wants to have nothing to do with it. How irresponsible is a woman? How irresponsible? I mean, you can't create a train wreck and then walk away from it. But yet, that's what so many of these women are doing. The ones who say, I'm not a feminist anymore. I was a feminist for 5 years. I was a feminist for 10 years, but now I'm not a feminist anymore, and I don't want to be called one. And some of these women make it very clear they were hardcore feminists in college. They were very, very hardcore feminists, and they helped move the feminist agenda ahead, but now they're not feminists. They want to have nothing to do with it, and don't call them feminists. And it's like they have no accountability for any of the things that they helped do. And now they talk about feminists like they were never a feminist, or they're not a part of that. Like you can suddenly turn it off. I mean, it's essentially it's like an abortion doctor who committed tons of abortions and then turning around and saying, well, don't call me an abortion doctor anymore. Well, you are an abortion doctor. You killed many, many babies. Yeah, but I mean, I don't support it anymore. Why don't you support it anymore? I have my reasons. It doesn't change. A murderer is still a murderer. If a person takes another person's life, it doesn't hurt the fact. It doesn't change the fact that they've taken tons and tons of lives. Okay? Feminism is the exact same way. Feminism has taken tons and tons of lives. It has destroyed tons and tons of men. It has damaged society in reprehensible ways. And now you have these women who don't want to have anything to do with it. They can't take any accountability. I've talked about this before, where women want privilege without responsibility. They can't even take responsibility for feminism. I said it before. I said women would not take responsibility for feminism. They would find some way to blame men for feminism before they would blame themselves. They will blame each other before they take accountability for it. And it's like one big game to them, because like they're having fun making these I'm not a feminist videos anymore. And it's going to be hilarious watching these women complaining, saying they can't find a suitable man who wants to be in a relationship with them, and they don't get it anymore. Why are men so soft? Why are men so weak? Why are men holding grudges over feminism? They don't understand. The question, what the future for all of us is, what the future for society is. And honestly, I see the future being one where men just saying, I've had enough, I'm done. I'm not dealing with you guys anymore. We're seeing that with MGTOW, and it's going to happen on a much larger scale. There's going to be the guys who pump and dump, and then there are going to be the guys who won't even have a relationship with a woman at all. There's a lot of asexual men out there right now. There's a lot of guys who have not had sex in a decade or decades, and they are happy going their own way. They are much happier, and you think this is a game, but this is true. There are a lot of these men out there who have literally learned how to live without sex, how to live without female attention, and they don't want a woman back in their lives. I'm telling you guys that you're going to see a lot of beta males who are simply going to say a sex doll is enough, jerking off is enough, VR porn is enough. It's not only enough, it's preferred, because they don't want their lives ruined. They don't want to lose their resources. They don't have the knack or the tenacity to deal with a woman. And then you're going to have women saying, oh, a real man can handle a real woman. Okay. And then, so date yourself. And then when they can't find each other, when they can't find men, a lot of them are going to spend their time getting drunk by themselves or with other women at best. And they're going to go downhill. I mean, a woman without a man, women are going to enter a massive state of mourning, my friends. Women are going to enter a massive state of mourning like no one has witnessed before. When they don't have children, when there's no one that says mommy, they're going to feel so empty and so hollow on the inside. And they're going to literally erupt saying that, society is making them ashamed for being childless. And it's like they're going to want to attack men, but in reality, men aren't even paying attention to them. It's other women. They're going to watch and see other women who have children, and they're going to feel left out because they don't have children. They're not getting invited to activities. They don't understand why they're not being invited by these women to activities that involve children. And it doesn't seem to make sense to them that, hey, they're women. It's not like they're a creepy man. Why wouldn't they invite her? Why wouldn't they invite her? She's a woman. She'll love children. She'll be great around kids. A woman who doesn't have children of her own, especially in her 40s or late 30s, other women are going to look at her kind of like, well, why don't you have children? Well, clearly they were not something that was important to you. Why am I going to trust my children with a woman who never had children? You see, mothers are more likely to trust their children with women who have their own children because they know that they value children. But a woman who does not have children, it sends a strong indicator that they honestly may not like kids or that they don't make good nurturers. And if a woman doesn't think another woman is a good nurturer, she's not going to want them around her children. These women end up feeling alienated and ashamed. And it's not something that men are doing to them. It's what other women are doing to other women. But at the end of the day, they're going to blame. It's like they're going to find some way to blame men and say they're going to get angry at men because men didn't give them children, when in reality, they're the ones who threw their lives away. And now they can't find a man because they've hit the wall. And Western society has literally made women so unattractive that men don't want them anymore. Oh my gosh. You can hear the anger just flowing through me because I get angry and I get passionate when I look at the nonsense in a video like this one, where this woman starts off the video by saying, I'm not a feminist anymore, even though I am. She's still clearly a feminist. She said it. She's still a feminist, but she doesn't want to be called a feminist because it's so obvious how hideous and ugly feminism is today. Former feminist women are still feminists. I said it once and I'll say it again. Nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. Once a feminist, always a feminist. That's something that remains consistent from woman to woman. I just want to remind you guys also that if you enjoy this video, please consider going over to my YouTube homepage or looking for the link in the description to my Patreon and consider becoming a Patreon. You can leave a donation via Patreon for any amount, for different amounts, and there are some great rewards, and this helps to ensure I continue to put out quality content for you guys. I make 3 of these videos every day, and whatever you contribute helps to ensure I can continue to put out more content for you guys. With that said, I want to remind you guys to always enable notifications. Just click on the notification button next to any below any video next to the subscribe button, and you'll get a pop-up that says send me all notifications for this channel. Hit the little check box, then hit save. If you've already done it, you don't have to do it again. This will ensure that you will always receive notifications whenever I'm live streaming or whenever I put out a brand new video, so never miss another video from me ever again. I want to know in the comment section if you agree with me that at the end of the day, former feminist women are still feminist, and women have alienated men so much that men are essentially going to have nothing to do with them. And the reason why so many of these women are now saying they don't support feminism anymore is because they are hitting the wall, or they have hit the wall, and they're beginning to realize they need a man to have a baby to establish a family, and they are losing out on the opportunity to do that. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, please go ahead and hit the like button. Don't forget to subscribe, and if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MGTOW or death. And cheers. Sandman, I can do this all day. Yeah, I'm talking to you right now. I'm going to keep using cheers. I'm going to use all your dialects just to get you to stop using them. I'm going to get you to mix it up a little bit. All right, Sand bro?